So think about this for a second. What is the ultimate sign that you have finally, made it in the music industry?
Oh, that's a big question.
Right. Is it getting a Grammy nomination? Or maybe it's having a platinum-selling record that millions of people are just streaming on repeat.
I mean, those are definitely the classic benchmarks.
True, true. But what if I told you it's actually having your hometown brewery craft an exclusive, limited edition beer named directly after you?
Okay, now that is a very specific type of flex. I love that.
Right. Today, we are looking at an artist who actually achieved all three of those milestones. But she did it in the exact reverse order of what you might expect.
Which is wild because we are so conditioned to that classic Hollywood or Nashville narrative.
Oh, totally. The overnight sensation thing.
Exactly. The assumption is that success is this straight line. You start out in obscurity, you get a sudden lucky break, you move to the big city, adopt a shiny new persona, and, you leave your roots in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, but that's not how it happened here at all. Welcome to this deep dive into the career of American country music singer-songwriter Hailey Whitters.
I am so excited to get into this one.
Same here. We have this massive stack of notes, discography data, and career milestones charting her path, from her earliest indie releases to her major industry awards.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. And our mission for you today is to map out her incredibly strategic rise in the music business. We want to extract the underlying frameworks from her journey, from her Iowa roots all the way up to her Billboard success.
Because it's not just about music, really.
Exactly. Her patient craft-first approach serves as a masterclass in persistence that you could apply to whatever professional or creative ambition you are currently chasing.
That patient approach it's entirely countercultural right now.
Yeah, it really is.
We live in an era that just worships overnight viral success. The prevailing logic is all about instant gratification, the sudden explosion of followers on TikTok or whatever.
Right, everyone wants the quick win.
But Whitters' story provides a completely different mental model. It proves that mastering your craft in the background, putting in the quiet hours of apprenticeship, and eventually leaning unapologetically into your authentic roots, that is often the most unshakable path to longevity.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because before you can be the voice on the radio, you have to understand the architecture of what makes a hit.
You have to lay the groundwork.
Exactly. So, Hailey Faith Whitters was born on September 9th, 1989. She is from Shoeyville, Iowa, and she actually attended Prairie High School in nearby Cedar Rapids.
Shoeyville. I love that detail.
A great name. And musically, she plays vocals, guitar, and banjo. She's been actively releasing music since around 2015.
Which is when she dropped her debut full-length album, right?
Yep, an album called Black Sheep on the Carnival Recording Company label. But the most critical phase of her early timeline actually happens totally behind the scenes.
This is the part people usually skip over.
Right. Before she was a breakout solo artist, she was quietly building immense equity in the industry as a songwriter for major established acts.
Yeah, this is what we can call the apprenticeship phase. And it's a crucial step that many people completely gloss over when they analyze successful artists.
Why do you think that is?
Well, the public sees the final product in the spotlight, right? But they miss the years of scaffolding required to hold that spotlight up.
That makes a lot of sense.
In Nashville, the music industry relies heavily on writers' rooms. It's this whole ecosystem where artists and dedicated songwriters collaborate daily. They treat songwriting like a 9-to-5 craft rather than just waiting for, divine inspiration to strike.
I look at it this way. Working as a songwriter for other artists is like an architect spending years building beautiful, functional houses for other people before finally designing their own dream home.
That is a perfect analogy.
Thanks. For instance, she wrote for country legend Alan Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah. And she also co-wrote the song Happy People for Little Big Town, which ended up on their 2017 album, The Breaker.
Such a great track.
It is. But I have to push back on this strategy from a creative standpoint for a second.
Okay, lay it on me.
If you are an incredibly talented artist with your own solo ambitions, isn't it difficult to give away a great song like Happy People instead of keeping it for your own album? Doesn't that feel like handing over a winning lottery ticket to someone else?
I get why you'd think that, but giving away that song was actually the smartest investment she could have made at that specific stage in her career.
Really? How so?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it's not giving away a winning ticket, it's buying a permanent seat at the table.
Ah, I see.
When you understand how Nashville writers' rooms operate, You realize that writing a hit for a group as universally respected as Little Big Town does a lot more than generate publishing royalties.
Right. It gets your name out there.
It builds massive industry currency. You transform from an unknown aspiring singer into a known, trusted entity among the gatekeepers, producers, and decision makers in the business.
It fundamentally changes the way the industry categorizes you.
Ex-
You are no longer perceived as a risk. You are a proven creator of value.
Precisely. And that currency opens literal doors that an unknown independent artist could never open on their own.
Like touring. Right.
Exactly. Because she had that proven connection and track record, she ended up touring with Little Big Town. She also went out on the road opening for Maren Morris on her 2019 Girl, the World Tour.
That's incredible exposure.
Huge. During this phase, she's observing arena-level production, she is networking with elite musicians, and she's sharpening her own storytelling abilities. She was collaborating with incredible talents like Lori McKenna, whom she wrote with frequently.
So she was putting in the reps without the pressure of having to carry the entire brand on her shoulders just yet.
Exactly.
So that transition from the apprenticeship phase to building her own brand brings us to her next major project. Armed with industry equity and razor-sharp songwriting skills, she begins to strategically construct her breakout as a solo artist.
And this is where her business savvy really shines.
Oh, absolutely, because the way she executed this release is fascinating.
Yeah.
She had to adapt to a modern media landscape that is incredibly crowded and honestly easily distracted.
Oh, yeah. The release strategy she utilized is what we could call the attention waterfall strategy.
The attention waterfall strategy. I like the sound of that.
It is a textbook example of how to capture and hold listener attention in an era where most new music is forgotten the moment it drops.
Let's look at the timeline to see how this waterfall actually works. In September 2019, she releases an EP titled The Days.
All right.
For anyone unfamiliar with the terminology, an EP stands for extended play. It was essentially a mini-album, usually containing 4 to 6 songs.
Yep, just a taste.
But this wasn't just a random collection of tracks. It deliberately served as the first half of an upcoming full album. Then, in early 2020, she drops a single called Janice at the Hotel Bar, which she co-wrote with Lori McKenna.
A fantastic song, by the way.
So good. Finally, in February 2020, she drops the full album, titled The Dream, on the independent Pegasus label.
And that sustained momentum leads directly to a major business milestone.
Which was the record deal.
Yeah. By June of 2020, she signs a record deal with Big Loud Records imprint, Songs and Daughters.
Okay, an imprint. We should probably clarify what that means.
Yeah, an imprint is an important concept to understand here. It acts as a boutique, specialized label that sits within a much larger corporate label structure.
Got it.
So she gets the highly focused, culturally specific branding of Songs and Daughters, but it is backed by the massive financial and promotional engine of Big Loud Records.
That is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And she leverages that new machinery immediately. In January 2021, she takes that same album, repackages it, and reissues it under the title Living the Dream.
Oh, this was such a smart move.
Right. On this version, she adds 5 brand new duets with industry heavy hitters. We're talking Brent Cobb, Jordan Davis, Trisha Yearwood, Little Big Town, and Lori McKenna alongside Hillary Lindsey.
Just a powerhouse roster.
Seriously. And this era even culminated in her earning a 2022 Grammy nomination for Song of the Year for a track called A Beautiful Noise.
Which is incredible.
It is. But looking at this timeline raises an obvious question. Wait, releasing half an album as an EP, then the full album, and then re-releasing it again a year later with duets, isn't that just slicing the same pie 3 times?
I can see why it looks that way.
I mean, why not just release all the music at once, make a huge splash, and move on to the next project?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture and analyze the psychology of modern music consumers, plus the algorithms that drive platforms like Spotify or Apple Music, a huge splash usually evaporates in about 48 hours.
Wow, only 48 hours.
Yeah. If an independent artist drops a full 12-song album on a Friday, it might get a weekend of attention. By Monday, it fades into obscurity beneath the tens of thousands of other songs uploaded that week.
That is depressing, but it makes total sense.
Algorithms reward frequency and sustained engagement over massive, isolated data spikes. So by staggering the release, the EP, the single, the album, the deluxe edition, Whitters created multiple distinct entry points for listeners over the span of a year and a half.
So she is constantly giving the algorithm, the music press, and the fans a brand new reason to talk about her, without having to write and record 4 entirely separate albums.
Exactly. The phasing is brilliant. First, the EP hooks the early adopters and triggers the platform's release radars. Then the full album arrives right as anticipation peaks.
And then the label deal happens.
Right, which brings in a fresh wave of industry press and financial resources. And the deluxe reissue is the strategic masterstroke.
Because of the features.
Yes.
Yeah.
By bringing in legends like Trisha Yearwood and Little Big Town for duets, she isn't just adding new vocals, she is actively leveraging the massive established audiences of those collaborators.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because their fans get notified.
Exactly. Their fans are notified of the release, which pulls a completely new demographic into her foundation. Every time the industry assumes the album cycle is over, she introduces a new dimension to keep the momentum rolling.
So she has mastered the algorithm, built the industry scaffolding, and secured the label funding. But, a strategy only works if the actual music connects on a visceral level.
Oh, 100%.
That brings us to the moment she had to figure out what her specific voice was. All of that sustained momentum finally tips her over the edge into undeniable mainstream success when she stops trying to blend in and she fully embraces her specific Midwestern upbringing.
Yeah, this is the transition from being a respected industry insider to a genuine cultural force. And it requires a very specific type of artistic courage.
Here's where it gets really interesting. In March 2022, she drops her 4th album, Raised, released jointly via Pegasus and Big Loud.
Okay.
This becomes her first album to actually reach the Billboard charts. It debuted at number 18 on the Heat Seekers albums chart, stayed there for 6 weeks, and eventually peaked at number 9.
The Heat Seekers chart is vital context here.
Right, explain that for us.
For anyone outside the music business, Billboard specifically designed the Heat Seekers chart to track developing artists who have never cracked the top 100 before.
Got it.
It is the ultimate radar for predicting the next big mainstream breakout.
And that breakout was driven by a single that fundamentally changed the trajectory of her career. The track was Everything She Ain't.
Such a massive song.
Oh, an absolute monster. It debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 94. It reached number 17 on the country airplay chart, and it officially went RIAA platinum.
Platinum is huge.
To put that into perspective, reaching platinum status today means moving 1 million equivalent album units. That requires a staggering blend of digital streams and physical sales.
And what is most fascinating about this era is the visual and thematic branding she used.
Yes, the music video.
Exactly. If you watch the music video for Everything She Ain't, she isn't trying to look like a polished Hollywood starlet or a generic country pop singer. She plays the homecoming queen of a fictional school called Cow Pie High.
Cow Pie High. You literally cannot get more specifically rural Midwestern than that.
No, you really can. And that level of specificity is exactly why the song went platinum.
I want to dig into the mechanics of why that works. Because conventional wisdom would suggest that to reach 1 million people, you need to write lyrics that apply broadly to 1 million people.
There's a deep psychological paradox in art and creative business. When you try to make something that appeals to absolutely everybody, you end up relying on broad, generic concepts.
Right, like in mainstream country pop, that usually means generic nouns.
Exactly. A truck, a dirt road, a cold beer. It is written by committee to offend no one and vaguely appeal to a demographic.
It's basically corporate marketing.
The result is music that feels exactly like corporate marketing. It means nothing to nobody because it lacks truth. But Whitters utilized proper nouns. She sang about her specific reality.
She leaned into the exact details that were authentic to Shoeyville, Iowa.
Yeah, and when a listener hears hyper-specific details, their brain registers it as authentic truth. Even if a listener grew up in an apartment in Brooklyn and has never seen a cow pie, they recognize the feeling of a hometown.
That makes a lot of sense.
They recognize the texture of a real memory. That unapologetic specificity is what actually connects with a mass audience. She stopped trying to fit a universally palatable mold and let her unique background do the heavy lifting.
And the industry fully recognized the power of that authenticity. She supported the Raised era with relentless touring. She headlined her own Heartland tour.
Well, she was everywhere.
She went out on John Party's Ain't Always the Cowboy tour in the summer of 2022. And later, she opened for Luke Combs on his massive 2024 Growing Up and Getting Old stadium tour.
Playing stadiums is a whole different ballgame.
Huge. And the accolades followed. She won the 2023 Academy of Country Music Award for New Female Artist of the Year.
Wow.
She was nominated for CMA New Artist of the Year. She also dropped another EP in 2023 called I'm in Love and became a highly sought-after featured artist. She appeared on tracks like Connor Smith's Roulette on the Heart and Lee Brice and Nate Smith's Drinking Buddies in 2024.
It's just a cascade of wins.
But it is crucial to emphasize the timeline here for anyone listening who is currently frustrated with their own progress. She didn't hit the Billboard Hot 100 until her fourth full album.
Fourth! That is insane.
Most people would have completely thrown in the towel by album 2.
It is a staggering level of persistence, and it sets up the final phase of her career perfectly.
Oh, this next part is my favorite.
Because the danger of hitting platinum and winning major awards is the industry pressure to assimilate. Usually, when an artist reaches that level, management and labels push them to polish their image, move to the coasts, and broaden their appeal even more to chase the next million streams.
But Whitters did the exact opposite.
Completely the opposite.
Once she secured the national spotlight, she doubled down on the very niche that got her there. Having achieved this massive success by leaning into her roots, she brings the journey full circle, essentially becoming a cultural icon in her literal hometown.
She officially enters the Corn Queen era.
Yes. In April 2025, she announced her 5th studio album, unapologetically titled Corn Queen, which released on June 6 of that year.
The title alone is just fantastic.
For the promo singles leading up to the release were a masterclass in thematic storytelling. The tracks were titled Casseroles, Prodigal Daughter, featuring Molly Tuttle, High on the Hog, and High on a Heartbreak.
Think about the confidence it takes to release a song called Casseroles to mainstream radio after you just won an Academy of Country Music Award.
Right. Most people would be trying to sound more pop.
She knows exactly who she is, she knows exactly who her audience is, and she refuses to dilute that identity for the sake of a broader pop crossover.
And that refusal to dilute her identity led to the ultimate hometown flex.
Here we go, the beer.
The beer. In September 2025, Big Grove Brewery, which is a prominent local business in the greater Iowa City area, officially released a limited edition beer called Corn Queen.
That is just so cool.
It was created in direct recognition of her album and her unwavering connection to the region. Whitters actually released a statement about the collaboration.
Well, what did she say?
She said, working with Big Grove on Corn Queen has been such a fun experience. This beer celebrates my roots and the joy of sharing good music with good people. We've created something that truly represents Iowa, a beer that fans can enjoy while celebrating the music in the heart of the Midwest.
It is the perfect culmination of her strategy.
So what does this all mean?
Well, the things we often think are our biggest liabilities, our quirks, our hyper-local backgrounds, our lack of big city polish are actually our biggest assets. If we have the patience to develop them, that is.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
We often try to sand down our rough edges because we think they make us seem small-time or unprofessional. Whitters' trajectory completely turns that logic upside down.
To synthesize this journey for you, Hailey Whitters did not become a platinum-selling star overnight.
Not at all.
She built her career brick by brick using frameworks anyone can learn from. She started in the apprenticeship phase, writing hits for legends like Alan Jackson and Little Big Town, building industry equity without ego.
Huge foundation.
Then she utilized the attention waterfall strategy, patiently releasing her music in phases to build a sustainable audience in a crowded market.
And playing the algorithm perfectly.
Yes. And finally, when she had the platform, she rejected the pressure to conform and unapologetically embraced her Shoeyville, Iowa roots until she quite literally became the Corn Queen.
This raises an important question, though. It leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to mull over as you analyze your own ambitions.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about the projects you are working on right now. If you were to create a piece of work, whether that is a new business venture, a specific project at your company, or a piece of art that unapologetically celebrated your exact hometown roots and your highly specific upbringing, what would it look like?
Wow.
What are your casseroles? And more importantly, would you have the courage to share it with the world?
Would you have the courage to put your most specific, unpolished truth out there? Because as this deep dive shows, sometimes the straightest line to universal success isn't changing who you are.
Definitely not.
It is doubling down on exactly where you came from.
Yep.
And hey, maybe getting a hometown beer named after you in the process.
I'll drink to that.
Thank you for joining us as we unpack the strategies behind the music. Keep seeking out the deeper stories hidden behind the hits, and we will catch you next time.